Ladies and gentlemen, Tek Knight.
The voice never fails to surprise the fans with random twists in the narrative, and the 6th episode of Season 4 dwells in this familiar territory with a few unexpected turns. It introduces Tek Knight, a Batman and Iron Man parody, who we have previously seen in the spin-off series Gen V, and the influence of the character is limited in the show because he's seemingly killed off in the episode. However, anyone familiar with the voice will know that there is more to things than what meets the eye, and Tek Knight's death has enough fuel for the conspiracy theorists to question its authenticity. In this video, we bring you everything there is to know surrounding the mysterious death of Tek Knight and the possibilities of him being alive. Before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. What happens to Tek Knight in the episode? It all starts when Tek Knight hosts a party where the rich and powerful of the country have gathered. It is all a part of a well-orchestrated plan by Sister Sage, and Homelander is also there at the event in order to gather support for his cause, which is to have a soup-empowering president in power. Even Victoria Newman is an accomplice to this plan, and Tek Knight proves to be a charismatic host with fancy arrangements in his mansion. The only problem is that the boys have gotten wind of this party, and Huey infiltrates the gathering posing as the Soup Web Weaver, which is a hilarious Spider-Man knockoff. His goal is to gather intelligence and place microphones in secret places so that the team can know all about the plans of Homelander. It goes horribly wrong for Huey when Tek Knight leads him to a secret sex dungeon, and he is almost subjected to his perversions and assaulted after his cover is blown. Luckily for him, Starlight, Kimiko, and MM step in to help him out, and they reach him just in time before he is violated. Tek Knight is beaten into submission, and he's blackmailed into revealing Homelander's deal with him, which turns out to be a sinister plan in itself. Homelander wants to use Tek Knight's prison cells for everyone opposing his regime, and the boys get an idea of the ominous signs for the country. Finally, just as they are about to kill Tek Knight, his butler Elijah and oppressed sidekick Gladio offer to get the job done. It seems like their vengeful fury means a horrible death for Tek Knight, and the death scene takes place off-screen. Later, we hear Homelander fuming about how the party had been sabotaged and Tek Knight is dead. How can Tek Knight survive? Previously, we've seen how deaths that take place off-screen sometimes have a hidden agenda. It is quite easy to bring back a character who has been assumed dead by everyone but has never been shown dying explicitly. For instance, Queen Maeve is a likely candidate for a comeback sometime in the show because her death has not been captured in the series. Similarly, given how important Tek Knight can be for the story, it is not completely unthinkable that the showrunner Eric Kripke has a twist in store for the character. Firstly, the loyalty of his butler and sidekick Gladio is questionable, and there is a chance that the butler is simply played along to distract the boys and make them leave. Gladio is known to be a loyal sidekick in the comic books, but the first signs of him in the episode make it seem like he has been tortured to no end. In fact, Tek Knight was already looking for a new sidekick, which is why he invited Web Weaver in the first place. Was he done with his depravity and perversions on Gladio, or was it just a setup to lure in Huey? What if Web Weaver already leaked the information about Huey and his costume, and Tek Knight knew about the whole plan from the beginning? Of course, things did not go according to plan for him because Kimiko and Starlight arrived on time, but he is someone who would have backups. His butler Elijah has raised him since he was a kid, and it is almost shocking that he has such a grudge on his master. Were there no opportunities before this to kill Tek Knight if that's what Elijah had in mind? This makes us question his drastic claims to teach the perverted Soup a lesson, and there might be a big twist backstage where he helps Tek Knight back on his feet. They might be keeping his survival under the wraps for security reasons because the boys might be back for him, and maybe you will see him reappearing just when you least expect it. How can someone with Compound V be killed by commoners? Tek Knight in the comic has no real superpower, aside from his high-tech suit, observational skills, and crime-fighting techniques. In the show, however, he has Compound V in his system, which gives him several superpowers such as heightened sense of smell and vision. He also possesses considerable strength, and overall his body vitals are way above the average human. Now, Elijah is merely an old man, and Gladio has been beaten out of shape for far too long. Even though Tek Knight is constrained, it will take one hell of an effort for them to get him killed. Usually, people of Compound V in their system also have some degree of regenerative powers, and we don't expect Tek Knight to go down without a fight. The fact that he possesses superpowers also makes us question the supposedly easy death that he has been destined with in the narrative. Homelander will need Tek Knight to gather support. While planning a coup that will unsettle the entire system of the country, it is important to have the backing of an influential billionaire. While Homelander spoke to Tek Knight about using his prison cells, he did not respect him enough and even insulted him publicly. However, the arrogant leader of the Seven may have underestimated the true potential of Tek Knight. A man as rich and influential as him knows his way around the Congress, and political support will be crucial in getting Victoria Newman up the ranks. Also, as is evident from the expression of those present at the party, they are still hesitant about Homelander's drastic plans of a takeover, and Victoria's well-organized speech only calms them temporarily. In the absence of Tek Knight, it will be extremely difficult to have their wholehearted support, and thus it is safe to say that the Batman ripoff soup is actually quite important to the story. This is also one of the major reasons why fans think he might be alive, and surely it will be fun to see him back in action. How does Tek Knight die in a boys' comic? Unlike characters like Sister Sage and Firecracker, who find no mention in the graphic novel, Tek Knight is a soup straight from the pages, although his character has been changed considerably. He is an arrogant and ignorant fellow, just like we see in the show, but the show version is way more racist and twisted. He does assault his butler severely in the comics, and the butler even shares the story with the press. If something similar has happened in the show narrative, then you cannot blame Elijah for turning his back on his master. However, his death in the comic has a lot more dignity, and he dies while pushing a woman out of the way of a falling wheelbarrow. It falls on him and kills him instantly, but he gets to perform one last heroic act before his time is up. He has a dying dream of how he saves the Earth from a massive asteroid by doing his business on a massive rock filled with organic matter. He is not so significant in the comic series, even though he has the crime-solving skills of Sherlock Holmes, but the show has clearly asserted a lot more importance to his character, which makes us question his untimely death. Marvelous verdict. Tek Knight's survival would be an outrageous twist, but an impactful one. So far in the show, it has been well established that a vicious struggle for power has reached the ultimate stages. The soups led by Homelander and Sister Sage are planning to place their puppet president in the form of Victoria Newman, while the boys backed by crucial CIA agents and Robert Singer are trying to upset these plans. In this context, the survival of Tek Knight can be a significant game changer. In order to gather support among the rich and powerful individuals and congressmen, money will be an important factor, and few have more wealth than the insanely rich Tek Knight. Homelander has already struck a deal with him to use his extensive network of prison cells, and his support in the times to come will prove to be invaluable if he is alive. This makes us wonder if the showrunners will also play around the possibility and bring him back in the upcoming episodes. As of now, it does seem a bit far-fetched, and we wouldn't put our money on it, but it is certainly an option worth exploring, and the impact of Tek Knight surviving will be considerable. Do let us know in the comments below about your thoughts on the episode, and also tell us if you think there is a chance of Tek Knight surviving the encounter with his butler and sidekick. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.